So every now and then we cover an episode where we think it's just not right to start it the way that we start the rest of the episodes.
Yeah.
Um, with that chat, with that uh banter that we have, and with that random blams and things like that. And this is one of those episodes. So we are going straight into the episode today. And I've been wanting to do this episode for a very long time. It's one that is very close to home for me. It's something that actually did happen right on my doorstep, within walking distance of my
Mm.
house. And it's something that affects me on a deeper level, and it actually affects every parent out there in this day and age. And I've chosen to do this episode now after my 14-year-old daughter was found to be talking to a stranger online. Despite educating her, despite telling her the dangers, she doesn't understand. She just does not comprehend the horror of what it could possibly mean, because we shield them from that horror.
Mm.
So let your teens listen to this episode. It's not a nice episode. It's detailed. It's it's real. It happened and it still happens. So why protect them from the horror of that just because it's disturbing or because it's not nice to hear? What good is shielding them from the reality if the reality is one day them? So this is the story of Breck Bednar. On the 17th of March, 1999, while people around the world celebrated St. Patrick's Day, Lorraine and Barry Bednar welcomed into the world a beautiful little boy, Breck. They raised him in a beautiful home in Caterham in Surrey, like full of love, full of happiness. He was the type of baby that every parent dreamed of. He was easy, he was happy. His happy little face just lit up the room. He was gorgeous. He was a beautiful little boy with big, round, brown eyes and those eyelashes that little boys have that they just have no business having.
I love that.
So beautiful was he that he was often mistaken for a little girl.
Hmm.
As he got older, he had this mop of just long, gorgeous, shiny, thick hair. He was always happy, smiley, funny, until when he was 2 years old and Lauren brought him three siblings all at once. She said that that was the only time he was sad, because that was when she had to go into the hospital to have the triplets. But as soon as he saw those little babies, 2-year-old Breck just cared for them. He adored them. He stepped into the older brother role perfectly. He would bring his mum nappies to help change them. He just had a heart that was just too big for his little body. As Breck developed into a little person, it was clear that he was a gifted child. He was articulate and he was so smart. He developed a passion for tinkering with things, fixing things, building things. At the age of 3, his parents referred to him as a boy genius. As the children grew older, Lauren and Barry decided to separate. And it was hard on the family, as it is on every family. But Lauren and Barry made sure that their children were the priority. But that did mean that Breck had to change school. But he had plenty of friends. He never struggled with friendships because he was just so easy. He made new friends. He was a straight A student. He was top set in all of his subjects. Learning was easy for Breck. He didn't have to work super hard to get these grades, but he still did. He wanted to do well in life. He had ambitions of wanting to be a pilot. So his mum joined him up with the Air Cadets, a place that he could meet like-minded people, a place he would learn structure and discipline and respect and confidence. And he was a very confident young boy. And he was a great role model for his younger siblings, and they all looked up to their older brother. He was funny. He was just good, just innately good. He was caring and thoughtful, and literally a parent's dream. Lauren never had any problems with Breck. Breck got his first introduction into computers and technology around the age of 8. It was 2007. Technology was growing rapidly, and most households had a communal computer in the living room.
Hmm.
And it was here that his passion for building and tinkering with things turned technical. With age, his talents developed. He was a gifted gamer. And it wasn't just games. He could fix a computer. He knew where everything went, what everything did. And into his teens, he saved up all of his birthday and Christmas money and bought all the components to build the perfect PC and build it exactly as he wanted. And he was now old enough to have his PC in his bedroom. He was very trusted, very responsible. So, you know, have that bit of freedom that comes with being a teenager. And Brett would spend his time in his bedroom on his PC. But it wasn't an issue. It didn't take over his life. He had air cadets. They went to church every week as a family. He had his chores that he did. They always sat down as a family for meals. He was a very present boy. At the beginning of 2013, 14-year-old Breck had absolutely everything going for him. He was loving life. He'd go to school and do very well, hang out with his friends, have fun. Then after school, he would come home, sit at his computer desk with his very impressive setup of 3 screens and play online games with his friends.
Sounds like my setup.
Yeah,
Many screens.
many screens.
Mm.
And Breck saved up, bought and built this setup by himself. He had a
Oh,
high-tech gaming PC. He knew which graphics cards he needed to run the games, how he wanted them to be run. He had his 3 screens, the middle one for the main game in action, the right one for just random shit that everybody would send each other while they were gaming, different videos or funny clips and things like that. And then the left one was for running the TeamSpeak chat server. So TeamSpeak is a bit like it's an online chat
okay.
thing, so a bit like Zoom,
Mm.
where everybody can jump on and then you can chat and you can message and things like that. So Lauren had an open door policy with Breck. She trusted him to chat to his friends and play safely, but he still had to keep his bedroom door open. No problem. Lauren knew all of Breck's friends. She was a very present mum. Um, she recognized their voices as they drifted out of the speakers in his bedroom and then down the hallway. She knew who each one of them were. She knew where they lived. She knew all of their parents. But Lauren was a school assistant, so she had plenty of training about online safety. And it was something that she passed down to Breck. So she had no concerns or worries. One evening in January, as she walked past Breck's room, she hears him having a laugh with his friends, and she accounts for their voices. She knows them. Until she hears one that makes her step falter. And she can't account for this voice. It sounds older, deeper than the boys. So she questions Breck. Who's this new guy that you're all playing with? And Breck says, it's just the guy that runs the server. And all of his friends play on that server because it is the fastest one. There's no glitching, there's no lagging, there's nothing. And his friends have been playing on this server for years. And then they eventually invited Breck onto it. Um, and from what I can gather, there was some. So when Breck moved schools, so he had friends from that school and then he moved schools and then he had friends from that school. And some Some of the boys might have been a little bit older than Breck, but not by much. But Breck was invited into this online server where all the boys played. But Breck says that these boys have been playing with that creator of this server for over a year, and he's actually 17, and he lives in America, and he's this like computer engineer, and he's this computer genius, and he's got this really cool job, a job that Breck is absolutely desperate for when he's older. He works for the US government. He does covert operations. He gets to choose his own working hours. He's an absolute whiz with technology. And that's how he's able to create these really fast servers. He's so cool. And he's everything that Breck aspires to be. And he actually helps Breck. And when Breck's worked really hard creating these mods for the games, the creator of the server, he lets Breck play them out, and then he helps him with these issues. And he speaks Breck's language. He understands what Breck is talking about when most people don't. He's great. His name's actually Lewis Daynes. And Lauren can see that Breck is somewhat enamoured by this boy. Why wouldn't he be? But as an adult with life experience, some things that Breck has told her about Lewis Daynes just don't seem right. And when she challenges Breck, he's defensive about Lewis. All the other boys think he's great too. They just like playing on his server. His server's the fastest one. All they do is play games. That's it. But Lauren's guard is up. She pops into Breck's room a little bit more than usual. And Breck would always say to his friends, "Hey, my mum's here now." And all the teenage boys would kind of stop their shit chat and nonsense and just be quiet. But Lewis didn't. He would engage with Lauren. He would say, "Hey, mum. Hey, Breck's mum. How are you? How are things?" And she would say, "Oh, they're fine. How's New York? How's the weather? How come you're not out in town on a Friday night?" Just putting out feelers, because Lauren was from America. Breck's dad was American.
Oh.
She knew the ropes. And she found that Lewis was always quite vague about his responses. He didn't have any friends in America, so he just spent his time playing games. That was his passion, and he was good at it. And when she looked at Breck's computer screen, one of the three, and saw all the videos of all of his friends, like the little icons that pop up, like me and you when we're recording, the little icons,
Hmm.
she couldn't help but notice the little block that had Lewis's name on was black. He didn't have his camera on, and he never did. A huge red flag for any adult. But for Breck, it was obvious. Of course he couldn't show his face due to the nature of his work. He couldn't give out details about his life or his work because he worked for the government. He could be at risk. So Lauren did some research of her own. If he worked for the US government at the age of 17, or all of these big software companies that he said he worked for, surely he would have left a footprint online. So she Googles his name, Googles his name plus computer engineer, Googles his name plus US government, and a variation of different things, and she found nothing. But granted, she didn't even know if that was his name. So Lauren kept her eye on the situation. Her son was smart, and she knew he would come to her if anything inappropriate started to happen. So Breck went online every day after school and played games with his friends, including Lewis. Every day, Lewis would commend Breck on his gaming. He would tell Breck how amazing he was at computing, how he was wasting his life bothering with GCSEs. Lewis himself had left school without any qualification and now owned £1 million company and had made 2 million online in Bitcoin currency. Breck could just do much better if he focused his attention on computing and not school. And actually, why bother with air cadets? What's the point in going to air cadets if you want to be a computer engineer or a software developer working for Microsoft like he was? Why was he wasting his time on those things? They were distracting him from what he was good at, what his passion was. What's the point in going to church and believing in God? He's not going to give you a job with a 100k salary. I am. And Breck started to think, actually, he's right. I like air cadets, but my passion is gaming and computing, and that's what I'm good at, and that's what I want to do. So Breck started to no longer want to go to air cadets. He started to challenge his mum when she asked him to go to church. He didn't want to. Why should he have to go when he didn't believe anymore? While all the boys continued to play online with Lewis in his servers, some of the other boys started growing a bit wary of him, started questioning some of the things that he was telling them, started questioning why he didn't ever have his camera on. The same thing Lauren would say to Breck. Why can't we see his face? So while on a sleepover with one of his friends, Breck and this friend did like a live stream type of thing where Lewis had his camera on so that they could just squash all of these silly rumours and stupid worries and they could finally see that he was who he said he was. So Breck logged on and waited for Lewis. And on he came, camera and all. But the room was dark. Very dark, actually. So dark that they could only really make out the silhouette of Lewis. Why was it so dark? Well, Lewis had to keep a low profile where he was staying. He had to have the lights off. But it didn't bother Breck. His voice was the same one that he used online and that he was used to. And now he had kind of seen that Lewis was Lewis. His mum was just being paranoid. His mum was wrong about Lewis, and Lewis was right. And if his mum had been wrong about this, maybe she was wrong about other things. So this online meeting just reaffirmed his connection with Lewis and helped separate that reliance, that bond that he had with his mum. And while this reaffirmed his belief that Lewis indeed was who he said he was, the other boys' concerns and worries about Lewis only grew. Was he really working for the US government and living a life of luxury in New York? If he was in New York, how comes he never seemed to be on New York time? He told them all that he was going to go over and help in the Syrian war. He'd booked a flight and was going. They all tried to stop him. They all admired him for doing such a brave thing. They all said goodbye to him. However, just a few hours later, Lewis was back online. His flight had been cancelled. Just small queries, small red flags. They went from fully believing everything Lewis had told them to now thinking, perhaps he's not who he says he is. And Lewis did not like that. He felt that disconnect in the online group. He didn't like the constant questions. He didn't like to be challenged on his narrative. So he started banning those boys from the servers, kicking them off so that they could no longer question him. They were his servers. So he started spending more time with just Breck, more time in Breck's ear. And as a result, Breck started spending less time with his friends. He believed everything Lewis was telling him and nothing anyone else was telling him. When Lewis told Breck he had entered a server where his other friends were playing and overheard them saying how much they hated Breck, he felt obliged, as Breck's only friend now, to tell him what his other friends thought of him, to tell him that they were all on a different server playing together without him and not including Breck anymore, leaving him out and saying all these horrible things about him. They wouldn't do that if they were really his friends, would they? Lewis would never dream of it. Lewis was his friend, a true friend. Lewis had his back and would defend him and stick up for him. But it didn't matter anyway. Who needs those friends when Breck would be leaving school soon and joining Lewis in his £1 million company? They would regret their decision of not sticking with him and not believing Lewis. They would eat their words when Breck was making 100K doing the very thing that he loved, and they were all stuck doing menial, dead-end jobs. By the summer of 2013, Lauren had noticed a huge shift in her son. Her once happy, family orientated, motivated son was the very opposite of all of those things. He isolated himself, no longer attended air cadets, no longer focused on his schoolwork, no longer willing to come to church. He was challenging her, arguing with her. Every parent expects their teen to push back, to push against the boundaries. But this was so unlike Breck. She believed that Lewis was changing Breck's ideologies, isolating him from his friends and his family. When Lauren would go into Breck's bedroom to call him down to help with chores or to call him down to come down for dinner, she could hear Lewis saying, "You don't have to do that, you know. You're your own person, Breck. You're 14. You don't have to do everything she says. She's trying to control you, Breck. Why is she asking you to go and eat when you're not even hungry? That's stupid. You can just eat later. She's trying to control you, and you don't see it." Lauren also noticed that whenever she walked into Breck's bedroom, a figure of Hitler would appear on the screen, or a wicked witch on a broom would fly across. She was now the bad guy. And she recognised these signs of grooming, and she laid them all out in front of Breck. They had an answer for everything. Lewis was his friend. He wasn't grooming him. He was never inappropriate. He wasn't sexual. He wasn't a 40-year-old paedophile like she kept saying. He had seen him on camera. Stop trying to take away from me the only person that really gets me. Lauren had to do something. So she said to Breck, "You can keep talking to Lewis if I can meet him. Just let me meet him so I'm not worrying anymore." But Lewis couldn't allow a face-to-face meeting. He was in New York. He was busy. He had a very important job. He couldn't show his face. It was dangerous for him. But he would chat to her online over TeamSpeak. So that's what Lauren did. She asked Lewis why he was trying to change her son. But Lewis came back with, "Why are you trying to control him? Why do you make him go to church when he doesn't want to?" And Lauren would say, "It's something that they've always done as a family. It's 1 hour out of the week. It isn't unreasonable to ask Breck to come." "Why are you making him do chores? Breck's a good boy. He takes care of himself. It's the triplets that make the mess. Why don't you make them do chores? Breck's a good boy. He's smart. He's talented. Why are you trying to control him and make him conform to social norms? He doesn't have to go to college or university. Steve Jobs, the creator of Apple, dropped out of college. Mark Zuckerberg dropped out of uni and he founded Facebook. Breck's a good boy. He's capable of so much, but you're holding him back. He's going to be successful and rich. Why don't you want that for him? Breck is a good boy. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't smoke. Why can't you just let him do what he loves to do? Let him do what he's passionate about. And Lauren literally didn't get anywhere and ended the conversation by saying, "He's my son." And she knew she had to act. On December 17th, she phones the police and expresses her concern. She gives them Lewis's full name, Lewis Daynes. She gives them his online alias. She says that he used to live in Essex, but that he's now living in New York. He grew up in Essex, that's where he's from. She gave him his age, he was 17. She explains what's been happening, the lies that he's been telling Breck, the grandiosity that every adult can see is an absolute lie. She ends the call, relieved. She's reported it. The police will do their job now and look into this guy. But she still had to keep Breck safe in the meantime. She told Breck that they were going to have a talk about this. Her, Breck's dad, Barry, and she invited some of the other boys and their parents as well. They sat down as a family and expressed their concerns. Lauren expressly told Breck she felt that he was being groomed, not sexually, but perhaps being groomed to participate in some sort of online hack or some sort of radicalization or some sort of military or government online terrorist attack. She didn't know. But Breck says grooming's a harsh term. He's smart enough to know the signs of grooming, and that's not what's happening. He's a friend, and he's a good friend. He's the only person that really understands my passion, the only person that gets me and helps me. But they don't have to worry anymore. It's not worth all this. So he agrees to distance himself from Lewis online. Whatever. Breck's dad says, going forward, I think we've determined that Lewis is out of the picture as of today. And with that, it was done. Lauren and Barry breathe a huge sigh of relief. Finally, they're getting through to him, getting somewhere. But just to be sure, Breck keeps his side of the deal. Lauren takes away Breck's beloved computer, all of his tech, radio silence. But what Lauren doesn't know is that Breck had told Lewis his parents wanted a meeting to discuss everything. He told Lewis that he was worried that she would take his computer away. And Lewis says, don't you see, Breck? She's controlling you by taking your PC away. You need to record this meeting. Record what she says, then everyone can see how controlling she is. And that's exactly what Breck did. And he managed to send the audio file to Lewis. How? I don't know. But Lewis now knows everything that was said in that meeting. He now knows everything that they think about him, their fears, their worries. He now knows that Breck has his tech taken away and he has no means of contacting him. It was a week before Christmas and Lauren had her son back. He was present, spending his time with the family instead of on his PC. He was smiling. He was happy. They had a great Christmas. And it seemed that Breck was back. So they let Breck have his tech back. It had been a week since he had spoken to Lewis. And Lauren checked and checked and checked in on Breck on his computer and felt at ease that she no longer heard Lewis's voice or saw his name on the servers. Unbeknownst to her, Lewis had sent Breck a brand new smartphone, a way to continue their communication, a way for him to continue controlling Breck. January came and the start of the new school term, and with that brought a trip to Spain for Breck with his school, something he was very excited about. And I actually can't find how long this trip was, but it was the beginning of February because Lewis sends Breck this email on February the 6th at 6:28 a.m. Hey, I'm in Dubai on a layover departing at 3 p.m. I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to speak to you before you go. Have a go at flashing the SSDs and hopefully that will solve the issue. If not, don't worry about it and don't stress about it. We'll sort it. We'll sort something out. Enjoy your time in Spain, even though it's a school trip. Try to have fun and relax. It's a rarity to get the chance to spend a week in the sun and miss school. Enjoy yourself. Don't feel awkward around people. Just relax and enjoy the experience. I'll try to email you if I can during my trip. But if I don't, it's because I can't get a connection. So I'll speak to you on the 15th when we both get home. His mum watches Breck leave the house that day, excited for this opportunity for her son. He says goodbye and that he loves her. And Breck has a great time in Spain. He posts a photo of himself on social media He's sitting with a girl, and she has her head on his shoulder. And his family see it, and his old friends see it, and they think, that's so great for him. While he's away, it's half term for the triplets, and they're staying with Barry. Lauren is away on her own trip in Spain. I think it's teaching, some sort of like teaching training that she's attending abroad.
Hmm.
But she's away when Breck gets back from Spain. His dad, Barry, collects him from the airport on the 15th of February. And Lauren messages him and says she can't wait to hear about his trip. The next morning, Breck asks his dad if he's able to go to his friend's house. He lives in Caterham, not too far. And of course, his dad says, absolutely. Do you need a lift? Do you want me to take you? And Breck says, no, it's okay. I'll make my own way there. It's actually not far. And Barry is elated. Just a few months prior, Breck was cooped up in his bedroom, telling him that the only friend he had was someone that he'd met online. So he was so pleased that Breck was back and wanting to go round his friend's house, a real person. So Breck had been gone for a good few hours. He messages his dad and says that they're trying to create a super fast server. They've had pizza, and he asks if he can stay the night. It's okay with his friend's parents. So Barry agrees. But what Barry didn't know was that this trip to his friend's house had been pre-planned by Lewis Daynes when he had been emailing Breck while in Spain through a barrage of emails, really. One of the emails sent on the 9th of Feb says, I've just remembered. I didn't mention in that long email why it's so important that you read up on photo DNA and cloud services in particular. It's because we have a buyer. I can't say who. Needless to say, it's a government entity that would like it as a subsidiary of a larger organisation and keep a team of privately employed technicians on hand at all time. The offer for the technology is between 55 and 135 million. I'm not going to be around. I don't think I have to say who that money is going to, do I? In brackets, you. You're walking in the real world now, Breck. Time to step up and take the opportunity. On Wednesday, the 12th of February, Lewis emails Breck again. If your father asks where you're going on Sunday, say you're going to meet a friend who's 14. Name, Edward Bly, and moved to Cairo last year with his mother when his parents split up. He was a good friend for the first part of year 9, and he's invited you over to his dad's house for the day, while he's visiting his father in England who lives in Caterham. His father also said that you might be able to stay the night. Just say, I've spent too many half terms and holidays indoors. I'm going to spend this one outside with friends. That should help him understand and allow you to go. In these emails, Lewis tells Breck he's sick. He's not well. He won't be around much longer. He needs to hand everything over to Breck. He wants Breck to be in charge of the empire that he's created. Because if he has to leave it to someone, he knows it will be in capable hands. But it has to be done in person, because he needs a signature. So Breck pre-orders a taxi from his address to an address in Grays, Essex, Rosebery Road, an undercover flat. It's paid for by Lewis, £100. And Breck happily leaves his dad's house on the 16th of February at 7 a.m. and heads to Lewis Daynes' address.
Essex Police Emergency.
Hi there. Okay. Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please.
What do you mean? What's happened?
My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
Right, and who am I speaking to?
My name is Lewis Daynes. I'm 18 years old, and I live...
Right, okay. And what's actually happened?
My friend came to stay the night with me yesterday, feeling very down, feeling suicidal. And I woke up this morning, he was in a mess. I tried to calm him down. I hugged him, then said that I was there for him. He shrugged me off.
Can you just bear with me a second? Don't tell me any more, okay? You're telling me he is definitely dead?
Yes, I'm telling you he's definitely dead.
Bear with me a second. Right, okay, Lewis, I need you to just take me back through that again. So what happened last night?
Okay. He came to stay with me because he was feeling down. I tried
What's
my
his
best.
name?
Breck. B-R-E-C-K. Bednar. B-E-D-N-E-R.
Sorry, B-R-E...
E-C-K.
Breck?
Yes.
And then his surname is?
Bednar. B-E-D-N-E-R.
Okay, so he came to stay with you.
Look, I can explain this to the officers when they get
I
here.
will just... I need to take these initial details.
I know. He came to stay with me the night. I did my best to comfort him. I woke up this morning. He was in a mess. I tried again.
Right, just slow down again, Lewis. I need to take these details. So did you have an argument with him last night?
No, we were fine.
You were fighting?
No, we were fine. We were fine last night. We both went to sleep. I said that we were fine.
Okay, but why did he come to stay with you?
Because he was fed up with his home life.
Right, because he was fed up with his home life.
He's had a lot of problems. I've known him for a long time. He came to stay with me. I was in Thailand last week on holiday. He was in Spain on holiday.
Okay.
We both got back.
So,
we met up.
you both went to bed, and then what's happened this morning?
I woke up. He was just standing up. He was in a mess, hands on his face. I got up. I put my arms around him, and I said it was okay. He just shrugged me off and said no. I can't remember exactly what he said. He was going on about how he didn't want to go home. He was fed up with his life, and he didn't want to go.
Right,
and
okay.
I have a penknife on the side of, in my room, adjacent to my bed. I have a chest of drawers. After shaving the TV and stuff on there, I had a penknife on there, folded. He picked it up, opened it, and then lost control.
Slow down. Let me just take those details here. Penknife on the bedside table. Breck grabbed this.
Yes.
What, in order to harm himself?
No, in order to harm me. He opened it and then lost control.
To harm informant and opened it. What states he lost control.
In self-defense, put my left arm up to block him from stabbing me effectively. We struggled. I got him to the ground. He got up. I got the knife. Can you not interrupt me with this part?
Okay, go on.
Okay. This is being recorded anyway, isn't it?
Yep.
I grabbed the knife and I stabbed him once in the back of the neck, I believe somewhere near the brainstem. He turned around, he tried to carry it on, and I think I stumbled on my chest of drawers. I fell over. I got back up, backed away, and then I don't remember exactly what happened, but the fight ended with me cutting his throat. I believe I turned around and I slashed his throat. He fell face first on my bed. I tried to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
He fell onto the floor.
Yep.
I couldn't stop it. His throat was properly cut.
And he's still on the floor?
Yes. He fell onto the bed face first. I was trying to compress the wound at that time. And
Lewis, are you still in the room where Breck is?
No.
Where are you?
Look, don't interrupt me. Just let me explain this if this is being recorded. I didn't know what to do. I felt like
Right, is the house where you are, is where you are and where Breck is, yeah? But you're in another room, are you?
Yes, I felt like taking my own life. I don't remember what happened after that. All I know is I dropped the knife in my hallway. I stripped down and just sat in the shower.
Right, you've left the weapon in the hallway.
Yes.
And have spent how long sitting in the shower?
I don't know. Look, are the police on their way? I can hear something.
They are.
Okay, I'm going to go and do my part. Please, thank you for your help.
Right, just listen.
At the same time as the police are receiving this call, Breck's friends wake up on their first day of the school holidays. They log on to TeamSpeak for a morning of gaming and are confronted with pictures of Breck's dead body, posted by Lewis. Lewis has told the boys that are online the same story that he told the 999 call handler. There was an accident and Breck is dead. As you can hear on the call, the police have turned up to Lewis Daynes' flat in Grays. They're surprised at his demeanour. An 18-year-old man with the face of a 13-year-old boy. He looks incredibly young. He's calm. He's polite. He's compliant. He's told the police it was a huge accident. An act of self-defence after Breck lost control. But what police find in his flat tells a very different story. As the officers enter the flat, they're confronted by the bloody penknife on the floor in the hallway, laid out in the open for the police to find as if it was a trophy. The flat was eerily clean and neat and bare. In the living room, there was a bin bag full of Breck's clothes, blood-stained and cut up. In the small bathroom, the little sink was plugged and filled with water. Submerged in the water were 3 mobile phones, one of them Breck's, numerous computer hard drives, again, one of them Breck's, and USB sticks. Officers make their way to the bedroom. On the bed sat Breck's laptop, covered in his blood. The bed is covered in his blood. A tube of lube is covered in his blood. There is blood everywhere in that room. And also in that room was the body of 14-year-old Breck Bednar, lying on his back, his arms underneath him, a deep laceration to the right side of his neck, the obvious cause of death. Police also find in the bins inside and outside the flat duct tape that had clearly been used to bind hands and feet together. Duct tape that had Breck's hair and DNA all over. They also find that Lewis had ordered duct tape and condoms 3 weeks prior to the murder, and the taxi that had brought Beck to this flat had been pre-booked 2 weeks prior. This had been no accident. This had been a cold-blooded, calculated, plotted murder that had been months in the making. While police searched the flat, officers made their way to Breck's father's house. He wasn't home, but Breck's sister was. They asked her to contact their dad and get him home. They take Barry into a room, away from the children, and tell him that his son has been murdered. But they needn't have separated the children, because they were also being made aware that their brother had been murdered. After seeing the images online, Breck's friends had contacted his sisters to offer their condolences. Breck's mum, Lorraine, on a trip to Spain, celebrating her birthday that morning, received a call from her ex-husband that destroyed her. Breck had been murdered by the very person she had been trying to protect him from. Lewis Daynes was arrested for the murder of Breck Bednar, which he denied and still claimed self-defence for. While he had tried to be smart and destroy all the hard drives and tech that would incriminate him, officers found that he had missed one vital piece of tech. At the bottom of Breck's rucksack had been his laptop. And it was from this device that they were able to piece together what had led up to his murder. They found all of the emails from Lewis to Breck, all of the grooming, the lies, the pre-planning, how he had manipulated Breck and fed on his interests and intelligence. Lewis Daynes was not a multimillionaire software designer working for the government. Lewis Daynes was an 18-year-old unemployed boy, abandoned by his parents when they divorced. Lewis had been passed through the foster system until he was 16 years old when his grandparents rented a flat for him. He had lived by himself since the age of 16, building servers to lure young boys. He had access to over 400 children that played on his servers. He was a predator. And if the police had run his name through their system when Lauren had first called them, worried that he was grooming her son, they would have found that Lewis Daynes had a record since the age of 15 for grooming a boy online and for sexually assaulting a boy of 15. Had the police done their due diligence, Lauren and Breck would have learned the truth about Lewis long before Breck was eventually murdered by him. Breck was buried 1 month after his murder, on the 17th of March. It was the day that Lauren and Barry had welcomed their bundle of joy into the world, so it was the perfect day for them to say goodbye. And today, as we release this episode on the 17th of March 2026, it would have been Breck's 27th birthday. He would have been happy, healthy, successful, full of promise, and still with his whole life ahead of him. But a predator, hiding online, decided to end that. The truth is, our children are online in this same world. They're talking to people that they don't know. They're believing these people are their friends. And while Breck's case is a very extreme case, the reality is that online grooming is at its height. Grooming doesn't have to be sexual. It doesn't have to be a person demanding sexually explicit photos or sharing them. And if the police had understood that in 2014, they would have taken Lauren's phone call more seriously. Because back in 2014, Lauren's phone call didn't raise any red flags. It didn't tick the boxes for online grooming, and therefore it was pushed aside, forgotten about. But online grooming is on the rise. In the year 2023 to 2024, there was an 89% increase in sexual communication with a child. 81 to 83% were girls. 25% were children under the age of 12. 1 in 5 teens have reported receiving sexually inappropriate content online by an unknown person. 48% of cases of online grooming come from Snapchat, a platform all of our children use to communicate. It is a platform the predators take advantage of because of its disappearing messages. On November the 25th, 2014, at Chelmsford Crown Court, Lewis was charged with murder with sexual and sadistic intent and changed his plea to guilty at the last moment and was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 25 years to serve, making him eligible for parole at the age of 43. Breck's death destroyed Lauren. She spent a year in bed, barely able to function, surviving purely for her other children. Lauren Lefebvre is the strongest, most empowering woman I've ever come across. She turned Breck's death into a legacy and started the Breck Foundation. Her aim is to educate children and parents about the dangers of being online. She is quoted as saying, "I want Breck's tragedy to open the eyes of everyone, to recognise the dangers of online predators. It is a very real danger today. We all need to look after each other." So in the name of Breck's legacy, share this episode with everyone that has children that are online. I implore you. Breck's case raises a lot of concerns regarding online grooming. It changes what we all think of as typical online grooming, that it doesn't happen to boys, that it's normally a much older person pretending to be a young boy, that predators prey on vulnerable children. None of that was the case. Breck even had an online safety awareness assembly at school at the same time he was actively being groomed online. When we talk to our children about online safety, are they really listening? Mine wasn't, and she's a smart girl. But the moment she lied to me about who she was talking to, I realised the danger even if she didn't. No one is going to keep our children safe online but us. We'll put links on the website for the relevant websites for the Breck Foundation. So please go and have a look. And as hard as this episode has been for everybody, because I'm certain every parent has an element of being able to relate to this episode. And as hard as it's been for me to do this episode, because of the similarities of what my own daughter said to me when I questioned her about this person she was speaking to online, it's something that we all need to hear. And I know it's been emotional, and that's, you can probably hear that in the recording. But so what?
Yeah.
If this happens to someone that you know or someone that you love, it is emotional.
It's just terrifying.
It is terrifying, especially when my own daughter, who is smart, who we have always been very open about the dangers of speaking online to people, when I sat her down and said to her, "You don't know this person," and she said, "He's my friend. He's the only person that understands me. He's the
Yeah.
only person that helps me. He's my friend." That's the danger.
Yeah.
Because that is what grooming is. Grooming isn't send me these photos. Grooming is preying on their intelligence, preying on their needs,
Yeah.
preying on their,
finding any kind of weak or something that they can use as a weakness.
yeah, being their friend. That is what grooming is. So although this has been a very, very difficult episode, I'm glad that it's done.
It's just so tragic. It's so tragic that things like this would happen in order to get some sort of understanding of what this world is at the moment. I think
Yeah.
the more people that can hear Breck's story, the safer it'll be.
Yep. So the Breck Foundation actively going to schools. You can request them to come into your school, into your child's school. They do it all over the world. They do it virtually, and they tell Breck's story. Hayley has the police go into her school quite often to talk about grooming, but it's statistics. It's boring. They don't take it in because
No.
they don't feel like they are that statistic. If they hear a real life, emotive, eye-opening case of it actually happening, I think it would sink in more.
Yeah.
But you can contact the Breck Foundation if you're wanting them to come into your school. I have done with Hayley's school because I want them to go in there and talk to the children. And yeah, that is Breck's story.
If you are a child, teenager, and you're listening to this, just
Listen to it.
listen, just really take it in. I know that you think that, adults don't know what we're talking about, but just bear in mind, if Breck had listened to his mum and thought, yeah, actually, I don't know this person, so I'm certainly not about to go and meet up with them. I don't know. I don't know. It's just be aware that there's a lot of really, really sick people in the world.
The danger is that email that I read you, the first one that I read you, where he's saying, have a great time in Spain.
Yeah.
Relax, don't be nervous. Have a great time. I can't wait to speak to you again. That's the danger.
Yeah.
That email looks innocent as anything, but look what happened.
Yeah. We've just got to keep the communication going. That's all. I'm not about, Loopy, Lewis, he plays online gaming all the time. He's got a computer in his room. We always, it's so familiar, Breck's story. It's so familiar that's why it's so terrifying to me. We hear his friends' voices, and he's screaming and shouting while he's gaming and all of that. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop him from doing that, but I'm going to continue the communication. That's all we can do. Just teach them about things like this and, the importance of keeping up communication. Because, that's all we can do, and if we start picking up on red flags, we've just got to keep talking to them about it and saying, this is worrying me.
Yeah. Lauren said the worst thing she could have done was taken away Breck's tech.
Really?
Because she knew they were communicating and she could keep an eye on it while on his tech. As soon as she removed it, it went underground.
Yeah,
And
and they'll find a
she then
way.
didn't know. Absolutely.
They'll find a way. It's it's the same as, what we were talking about before about, Jessie, who is 16 years old. She's still going to want to do the things that 16-year-olds do. And if we tried to stop her doing that, she's still going to do it.
Just in secret.
We're just not going to know about it.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can do is say to her, I understand that you're going to do these things, but just let me know. Just tell me so that I can be on hand. I can see your location, just check in every now and again. Just send me a voice note saying, everything's all right. Love you. Speak to you later. That's it. That's all I need. Because we can't stop teenagers being teenagers. We've just got to kind of go with it and say to them, as long as I know you're safe, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I think we should end the episode there.
Yep. Thank you for doing that. I know it wasn't an easy episode for you.
If you are affected by anything in the episode, then all of the relevant links and helplines will be on the website.
Yep. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.